everyone. I am here with myself as part of the team, also with Megan, Savannah, Clifford, Devin, Luke, and Kevin. We are group three, and today we'll be talking about hybrid work and the effects it has on key parts of the workforce. Today's presentation is going to be broken up into 3 different parts. First, Kevin is going to describe each of these effects hybrid work has on those working for your company. Then Luke will be speaking specifically on how hybrid work affects employees. Savannah will go into how hybrid work can affect employers, and Clifford will show us how hybrid work affects individuals. After this, Devin will be showing us how our solutions can help with the transition to hybrid work. And finally, Megan will close us out with some facts on how hybrid work will benefit your company and all of its employees. As we began researching this topic, we came across this quote from Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Facebook, who helps us understand how the COVID-19 pandemic has reshaped and changed where and when we are most productive with our work. He states that people are more productive working from home than people would have expected. Some people thought that everything was just going to fall apart, and it hasn't. And a lot of people are actually saying that they're more productive now. I will now pass it on to Kevin, who will give a little more insight on exactly how COVID-19 has impacted the workplace.
My name is Kevin, and I'm going to talk about COVID and the workplace. COVID-19 has shifted the real world online by forcing employers and employees to adapt to the COVID-19 situation. People who may have done work at the office only are now adapting to work outside the workplace. For example, instead of communicating face-to-face, both individuals may communicate on a video conference or a group chat. That's a couple of ways of different communications. In terms of stronger desire for a work-life balance, it comes from people experiencing work outside their workplace and being able to think about what they want in life. For example, a parent may want to stay home a bit more and spend time with their family. They may change their work environment to fit that. It may be a hybrid or a remote work. It could be something as simple as a person wanting to spend more time to socialize or spend time on their hobbies and passions. In increasing communications in the workplace, it comes from the new ways to communicate during the pandemic. You still have the emails and phone calls that you did before COVID, but the option of communicating on things like Zoom and Skype opens up more opportunities. And in terms of stronger reliance on technology, a good example of this would be an essential usage of video conference platforms to communicate around the world. Also, if you do plan to do hybrid work, then your home office will probably need to be upgraded. Things like webcams and mics may be more essential than ever before. You may need to increase or get better internet and stuff like that. You can go to the next slide. And who does hybrid work affect? So for employees, flexibility is kind of one of the big things that they're hoping for out of this. Another thing is a good, better work-life balance than they once had before the pandemic and stuff like that. And for productivity, you're probably looking at things they're thinking about of working at home or working at the office. And of course, that will come into play more in explanation. For employers, less workspace, if the split between hybrid and office, you just need to get less space. Municipal finances comes from, property taxes and rent, and wider hiring pool comes from basically having more options available for employees, and employers to choose from that basis. In terms of individual, person will probably get a better family life balance. This is kind of goes in hand with the work-life balance. Healthier society, both physically, mentally, and emotionally. And for an individual to be able to choose their schedule to some extent more so than they usually had back then. I will be passing this on to Luke, who will be doing effect on employees.
All right, thank you, Kevin. So if we're going to make a huge drastic change and moving work to something like a hybrid work environment, we obviously want to look at how the arguably like the most important asset of any organization is. You want to look at how that are the employees, which are that asset, how they're affected and what their lives are going to look like, the pros and cons. And so one of the biggest things that comes into play here is completely eliminating or just reducing lengthy commutes for individuals. Almost as in from the past few years, almost a fourth of people that were working office jobs in major cities like Dallas, New York, Los Angeles, they all reported quitting just simply to avoid that commute because it was so detrimental to their wallets, their mental health, and just their family lives. Because if you're having to make these hour, 2 hour, maybe even 3 hour long commutes, that's just like a huge waste of time. And there's things like family dinners that get missed out, or just any quality time that you need to spend with outside of your work that is affected by the commute. Another huge thing, another thing that's really important about getting rid of the commute, like I was saying, it kind of helps alleviate stress off of the workforce, and which obviously just leads to a more productive and happy workforce, which leads to huge savings and things like turnover and severance costs. And then also just along with that, with being able to hold on to these employees for longer because they're happier and they're happier to be where they are, and there's more trust between the employer and the employee. There's just a stronger company culture and community within the whatever organization you're in that just leads to overall higher productivity and savings and higher profit margins across the board. And now I'll pass it on to Savannah to talk about the effects on the employers.
Thank you, Luke. My name is Savannah, and I will be discussing the effect on the employers that hybrid work has. So our first point that we have is that it affects employers by having less of a workspace. This allows employers to downsize on their property, plant, and equipment. This would then cause the companies to have an increase in their net income. This is because they can sell the property, plant, and equipment for cash. The property that we would see would either be land or buildings, and plants wouldn't really have an effect here. And then equipment could be just any office supplies that the company may have initially used, but are now decreasing just because there are less bodies in the office. The next point that we have are municipal finances. This goes with commercial real estate. This is because the market value of commercial real estate has plummeted 16%. This caused a sharp decline in the tax revenue. Tax revenue pays for our city services, schools, sanitation, and roads. The last point that we have is that it affects employers by having a larger hiring pool. The employers now have a wide variety of potential employers to choose from. Because of hybrid work, this allows the people to connect from anywhere in the world, and it makes finding the perfect employee a lot easier to find. I will now pass it on to Clifford, who will discuss the effect on individuals.
There are three main stages to mostly focus on when talking about the effects on individualism when switching to hybrid work. They are family life balance, the schedule, and having a healthier society. The first one is family life balance. No matter what the situation is, family will always be the top priority. When switching to hybrid work, it gives you more time to shift in and out of work and your work mindset, which can help balance out your career and personal life. It also gives you time to spend with your family during work hours instead of being stuck at the office. The next topic is the schedule. One of the biggest things to point out is that you can choose at what time of the day you decide to work. Having the ability to to do that is proven for people to be more productive, because some people work better early in the morning while others work better during the afternoon or later in the afternoon. And finally, the last topic is having a healthier society. The shift to hybrid working has shown to have a positive impact on workers' mental, emotional, and physical health. Some examples are improved moods, and reduce stress because you generally have more times in your hands. Another thing to point out is that even if you have sick days and aren't able to go to the office, you could just work from home, and having your alone time really helps a ton as well. I will let Devin share our solutions.
Hi, my name is Devin. I will be discussing our solutions to successfully implement a hybrid work environment. The first is going to be conversion. Now that many employees are no longer occupying large amounts of office space, a solution organizations could consider would be to convert larger vacant office spaces to low-income housing. Another solution would be to downsize small office spaces, two small office spaces to provide 2 employees to complete work and group projects. Secondly, moving to transparency, conducting an open, honest conversation between employees and employers will help employers figure out what type of work environment and situation is best, ideal, and effective. Going back up to flexibility, it is vital to provide flexible options for remote and in-person and hybrid work. Many employees expect a remote to semi-remote option. Not every job can be executed through a remote option, but when possible, it is good to offer flexibility when available. Lastly is training. Provide resources to your employees to ensure efficiency in remote and hybrid work. Train and develop skills for online tools such as Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and other collaborative resources. Now I'm going to give it to Megan for our conclusion.
Thank you, Devin. Hi, everyone. I'm Megan, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about a potential issue with hybrid work and finish up with some statistics and a quote that support our claim that a hybrid work environment is beneficial to our society. As Kevin, Luke, Clifford, and Devin have all mentioned before, having a work-life balance is very important. So the potential issue that we want to address is that of blurry lines between someone's home life and their work life. What I'm saying is that some people have the issue of not being able to separate their home and work lives very effectively. They end up working strange hours because they don't designate specific time blocks for work, which can be just as disorienting and as messing up your sleep schedule and can take multiple days to recover from. According to an article by MIT Sloan, there was a study conducted in the United Kingdom where 80% of the participants claimed to have experienced changes to their perception of time during the peak of the hybrid work with COVID-19. This same article proposes that we adopt the routine schedule system that astronauts have used to keep themselves sane on long voyages through space. What these astronauts do is they set a strict schedule for themselves to eat at a specific time, sleep at a specific time, and work at a specific time. Due to these people working in an environment where day and night are indistinguishable, if this has proven to be effective for the astronauts, why don't we adopt this practice as well? Now, on the next slide, you'll see that we have some data to back up our claim that hybrid work is beneficial to society. First, we'll take a look at productivity, where 72% of employers have seen over a 25% increase in productivity due to hybrid work environments. Most employees want to see a hybrid work model implemented into their place of work. In New York City, only 15% of workers have returned to a fully in-person workspace, meaning that hybrid work is prospering there. And finally, 75% of workers have found that a hybrid workplace has improved their work-life balance. Now, on our last slide, we have a quote from Spotify's Vice President of HR to wrap everything up. We believe that we are on top of the next change, which is the distributed age, where people can be more valuable in how they work, which doesn't really matter where you spend your time. Thank you so much for your time.